In the U.S., the mother of a black teenager fatally shot by the police in Cleveland has called for the prosecution of the officers involved in the incident. Samaria Rice said she wants the police officers to be held accountable and convicted. Rice has already filed a wrongful death lawsuit. She also criticized the police for how they treated her when she was trying to reach for her fatally injured son.
Got out of. As I was trying to get through to my son, the police told me to calm down or they will put me in the back of the police car. And they made me sit in the front of the ambulance truck like I was a passenger.
The 12-year-old son of Rice, Tamir, was shot dead on a playground on November the 22nd while holding a toy gun. Tamir's killing was the latest in a string of incidents which triggered outrage over police brutality and racism. It followed the police killings of two unarmed African Americans, Michael Brown in Missouri and Eric Garner in New York. In both cases, violent unrest broke out after grand juries decided not to press charges against the police officers involved in the incidents. Now, to discuss this further, we're being joined by Aisha Fields with the African People's Socialist Party via Skype from Alabama. Many thanks for joining us here on Press CAV. Now, first of all, how far do you think Samira Rice's cries for help and justice are going to go in the U.S., as we've already seen Eric Garner and also Michael Brown's killers not receive any justice at all?
Well, I think that as far as the U.S. justice, so-called justice system is concerned, we shouldn't expect anything. And I think the recent decisions by the grand juries to not indict Darren Wilson, also to not indict the murderer of 7-year-old Aiyana Jones in Detroit, the police officer who murdered the man who was in Walmart, I believe his name was John Crawford. We've seen no indictment in those cases. And so we don't expect there to be any kind of justice served through the U.S. Court system. But I think that what Tamir Rice's mother has said will go a long way in terms of African and other people in the United States and around the world who really want to develop a people's movement capable of really struggling for real justice, not only for Tamir Rice, but for all Black victims of police murder.
Right now, U.S. President Barack Obama finally acknowledged the issue of racism. He touched upon it by saying that racism is deeply rooted in American society and history. However, he asked specifically the youth to be patient. So how many more Tamir Rices do there need to be in America for this patience to come to fruition?
I think it's very ironic that Barack Obama would call for patience and that he would make any kind of statement regarding racism in this country when it was Barack Obama, not too long after he won his first election, stated that this was America was a post-racial society. So I think what the average African person in the United States is really becoming much more clear about is that we can't wait on Barack Obama. We can't wait on any elected official in this country to give us justice, that we really have to struggle for Black community control of the police, which will require for people in our communities, wherever we are, to struggle to make sure that we can determine what happens in our communities, who patrols our communities, that we can determine when police officers should be fired, who can be hired, that we should have subpoena power. So I think that despite whatever Barack Obama may have wanted to do in terms of asking for, Black people to have patience in this country, in particular for young people to have patience, how much more time do we need? This country's 500 years now been murdering Black people with impunity. And I think that we're clear, the average African in this country is clear that we're not going to accept one more Black life being taken with impunity.
And before I let you go, Ms. Fields, very quickly, if you can, you did touch on how you would like the police force to be reformed within the U.S. so that these incidents don't occur. But what would you say for the judicial authorities?
Well, it's very clear. Anybody who has even just a basic understanding of the way the U.S. so-called justice system works, the police, the courts, the prosecutors, They all work hand in hand. So there's no expectation that we will receive justice in the courts in the U.S. But we believe that the first step towards really asserting ourselves and being able to, keep from being murdered in the streets, that the first step is to make this struggle for community control over the police, because these are the armed agents of the court, of the state, that are roaming throughout African communities everywhere, taking Black lives with no recourse. So we believe that this is the first step and the primary step to ensure that there will not be any more Tamir Rices in this country.
All right, let's leave it there for now. That was Aisha Fields with the African People's Socialist Party joining us via Skype from Alabama. Ms. Fields, thank you very much for your comments here on Press TV.